It's time for Tastemaker Talk, the podcast for food creators who want to level up their business and make an impact in the creator economy. I'm Abby Rodriguez.
And I'm Chandace Probst. We are your hosts and fellow food content creators here to dive deep into the trends, tools, and topics shaping the industry around us. There's so much to uncover, so let's talk about it. Tastemaker Talk. We are so excited to dive into today's episode with you. But before we do, a quick word from our 2027 Platinum sponsor, Mediavine. Smarter monetization starts with Mediavine. Their platform helps publishers grow revenue through cleaner ad experiences, stronger performance, and technology built for long-term growth. Trusted by more than 18,000 publishers, Mediavine is helping shape the future of digital publishing. Welcome, Yvette. We are so excited to have you here. I want to tell everyone a little bit about you. So Yvette is the founder of Muy Bueno, a 16-year-old food brand rooted in Mexican family recipes and traditions. Originally from El Paso and now based in Colorado, she's a published cookbook author and content creator who has built a multi-six-figure business through blogging, brand partnerships, and storytelling. Her work has been featured in NBC, the New York Times, and Bloomberg, where she advocates for authentic cultural food in the digital age. She recently appeared on Food Network's hit competition series 100 Cooks. Welcome, Yvette. We are so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
So how was the show? Was it crazy, fun, everything?
Scary, nerve-wracking, so much anxiety. I mean, it's a brand new show and it's their largest competition show they've ever hosted. So it's literally 100 cooks and they're home cooks. So that's why I said yes to it, just because I'm not a chef. I am, not trained. I'm not a celebrity. I just wanted to challenge myself and put myself out there. And so that's why I did it. Just put myself out of my comfort zone. And it was scary.
I'm sure. I've had a friend who's competed on Food Network's Cupcake Wars, and she's like, it is not for the faint of heart. It is, any sort of competition like that is not easy. So that's incredible that you did it. I'm so glad. And it's great to have different voices and in the media for food, especially where it's important for you to advocate, like you said, for cultural food in the digital age. I love that. So we're going to talk to you about some things, and I wanted to kind of just start with, you build a value-driven brand rooted in culture. So, and this is something that, I'd love to hear more about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I started Muy Bueno as basically a journey of wanting to publish a cookbook. So I started it in 2010 and it's called Muy Bueno, and it's named Muy Bueno just because my grandma only spoke Spanish. And anytime she invited people to eat at the table, she would say, siéntate a comer, está muy bueno, which is like, sit down and eat. It's very good. So that's where the name came from. And so then when I started the blog, it literally was like a journal. I had no idea about SEO, no idea about any of that stuff. I was just storytelling. And now I'm so thankful that that's how I started. And that's where I continue to share from my heart and, preserve my family's recipes and traditions. And never did I think I was going to become an influencer or a content creator. It was just
or on TV.
Yeah, or on the Food Network. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I'm thankful that Muy Bueno has turned into a brand that feels authentic. And I think that's why people continue to trust me after all these years. They saw where it all started and they see how I share my family stories and my history.
I love that. And I think we love the stories when people are like, I never thought I would do that, or I never thought I would do that, because it lies in like a humility and that your stuff is authentically real, that people want to share it. They want to hear more, which is incredible. I feel like that's a huge pat on the back for what you're doing, So how do you stay anchored in your values of heritage, family, cultural storytelling as the business has grown? Because that can be difficult sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot to manage. Never did I think I was gonna have a business out of this. It was just a little hobby that I started on the side, and never did I think it was gonna be something where I'd have to continue to evolve and continue to grow as social media has come about, or it's just continuing to evolve and grow with this whole business changes. I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And storytelling has been a huge part of what you've done. So As you're building the brand, tell me a little bit more about strategies for those of our creators who are listening and they have a story to tell, strategies that authentically and transparently have worked to help you build a lasting audience that has that trust that you mentioned.
Yeah, I think stories for me have always become so natural because as a little girl, I grew up next door to my grandma, and so my mom was a single parent, and so I just saw my mom and my grandma always in the kitchen, always cooking. That was their love language, and I used to love going to my grandma's house every day after school. She would be the one to take care of me, and she was the one who would be making homemade flour tortillas as soon as I got home. She always had homemade salsa on the table. She was always in the kitchen, and I just loved sitting next to her, or sitting in the table, in the kitchen table while she's, at the stove cooking, and she used to tell me stories. And I remember asking her, like, tell me a story about when you were my age, and I used to be fascinated by the change of how it was, in the 1900s growing up in
Yeah.
Chihuahua, Mexico, and, during the Mexican Revolution and what happened there. And I just was always fascinated of her stories. And so for me, stories and food was just a natural thing. Like I've always loved my grandma's story. And so that's how I started the blog, because Mexican food, people know what tacos and enchiladas and, the basics are. So I didn't want to really say, what are tacos? Like I would say, why are these tacos special to me? And so what makes them different? El Paso style, where I grew up, Northern Mexican style versus, Tex-Mex versus, different regions. So, I love the education part and learning where food comes from and just sharing all those stories.
I love that. So take us into your grandma's kitchen for a minute. Let us feel and smell and see everything that you did. So let's go back to one afternoon when you came home from school. What was the first thing you smelled when you walked in the door? What was the first thing you always chose to put on your tongue because you had many choices? What did you call her your abuelita?
No, I just called her grandma. I mean, yeah, I mean, she only spoke Spanish. I don't know why I never called her abuela. My kids call my mom abuela, but
Okay,
but yeah, I always called her Grams. Grams or my grandma.
I love it. Okay, so you have to correct me then. What's the difference between abuelita and abuela?
It's the same.
Okay,
So abuelita is just kind of like my cutesy grandma versus, abuela.
okay.
So
Okay, so
yeah,
yes, take us back to the kitchen, walk us in. You've walked into the kitchen. Let's hear it.
yeah. So, I mean, like I said, when I would come home from school, she literally was always in the kitchen. And I always wonder now, did she wait for me to show up to make our tortillas fresh? Because, she would make her dough. And as soon as I would get there after school, she would be rolling them with her little rolling pin. It's not like a traditional big baker's rolling pin, it's just like a little rolling pin. And she would just be so fast, and I would just be fascinated seeing her roll the tortilla so fast. And she would always roast long green chile. So that was a smell that like takes me back to my childhood. I've always said I wanted to like write a scratch and sniff book. It
Yes.
was like either like fresh frijoles, like pinto beans on the pot, and then there's fresh roasted green chile, and then she's cooking her tortillas on the comal, on the skillet, and oh my god, and I just couldn't wait for like the first tortilla to come off.
Yes.
And she would always have like a little pat of butter on the kitchen table and just smother it with butter, and then you're like roll it up into like a little mini burrito, and then the butter's running down your arms. And
Okay,
it's
is everybody in grandma's kitchen tasting that butter? It's running down your arms. It's just filling your mouth with that starch, that delicious starch that grandma
Mhm.
made with that yummy bit of fat with the butter. So were you ever a cinnamon sugar girl? Did you ever add it to make it a
I
dessert?
never did. I was
Never.
either butter or the fresh salsa that she just made. So I would just make like a little burrito with the salsa, and
Sounds
it's
so
so
good.
good.
With
I
the
mean,
fresh
fresh salsa.
frijoles. Oh,
Yes.
okay. Okay. I love it. I love the reason I did that is because I wanted to give an example in real time of your storytelling because it really does show what using those descriptive words, what taking people into the kitchen can do for setting your recipes apart from somebody else's. For a long time, we were told, stop writing stories. We don't care about your grandma's story. We don't care. In an age of AI, Absolutely, it matters, and we have to bring it back. It's like we've talked about how we're coming full circle and we're back to
For sure.
2002 blogging, and it's pretty incredible. So I wanted everyone to experience that, and I could taste it. So have you had mentioned that you loved being in the kitchen and seeing your grandma with the tools. Are you familiar? Have you heard of this? And I just learned about this amazing brand, Hernan Mexico.
Yeah.
They sell the authentic tortilla press and the authentic they have like a Mexican hot chocolate frother that's made from wood and it's beautiful.
Mhm.
I love that. So tell me a little bit, going with that, tell me a little bit more about the community. Have you developed deep relationships with other food creators in this space?
For sure. I remember, when I first started, I mean, when somebody even suggested to me to start a blog, I literally had to Google what is a blog. I didn't even know what a blog was. And I was a graphic designer at the time. And so I was like, oh, I could design a cute little logo and a little website and just share my stories. And as I was Googling, I would look up, other Mexican recipes. And then I found a community. It's like, oh, there's not very many of us. There's only, a handful of, Latinas or Mexican recipe creators or bloggers at the time. And so I remember there was this Facebook group, and it was like, what was it called? Like hermanas blogueras hermanas. So it was like blogging sisters. And so
Okay.
it was like all Latinas, not only food creators, but, lifestyle and fitness and travel. And so all of these blog hermanas, all these blog sisters were very good at, sharing each other's posts. And back then, leaving comments or sharing and doing Twitter parties and, you know, so it started off as a really fun community about meeting other content or food bloggers. We weren't called content creators at the time, but more, bloggers from
Yeah.
all over the country. And it was just fun to, eventually they were hosting conferences or meeting at different conferences. So I remember my very first conference, I felt very like odd man out. I was like,
Sure.
I was like,
What am I doing here?
I'm the only Latina. So I just was like, I don't know if I belong in this space. It was just so interesting. And so when I found my little community, I was like, these are my people, and I love that we can have that same connection. And I love this business because I've met so many different ranges of cooks and bloggers and entrepreneurs, and it's so inspiring to meet other people and how they do this amazing business online.
Absolutely. Well, and I don't think there's coincidence because just before I got on this call to speak to you, I was on the phone with
Oh my gosh,
with
that's so.
their team. I want to say it right, Hernan, Mexico.
It's
And
actually Hernan. So when in Spanish, you don't pronounce the H, so it's Hernan.
okay, Hernan. Good. I love it. I want to know how to say it right. So I don't think there's any coincidence that we were just on that call talking
That's
about community. They're
amazing.
in San Antonio
Mhm.
and they were saying they want more of that represented at Tastemaker. They're planning on coming, I believe, or looking into it. And they work closely with Dora Ramirez, who's one of our speakers, and her
Oh,
cookbook.
Dora's speaking. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, her cookbook just got nominated for James Beard. And I love that. What a small world that right before I was speaking to you, one of your fellow creators in this community, just chatting with them. So I just think it's incredible. And it goes to show that this is a space for everyone. I was just looking on your blog and my mouth was literally drooling at your recipes. They look phenomenal. So
Yeah.
if someone were to come to you and say, okay, I need your top 3 recipes that I need to make from your website first. I'm new to but I want authentic and delicious Mexican food. What are the top 3 you're telling them to
Oh
make?
my gosh, that's always so hard. It's like trying to pick out your favorite child, like
Yes, absolutely. From the 400 on there, right? Or
I I would say our family's red enchilada sauce.
okay.
So it's made from scratch with the dried chili pods, and so you rehydrate them and you blend them with garlic and water, and you have this sauce to make, red enchiladas. You can use it to make chile colorado con carne, which is like a red chile and either beef or pork. So, I mean, this one sauce could make so many things. You could use that same sauce to make pozole, birria tacos. So, I mean, it's like that's like a staple sauce that you need to have. What else? My Another favorite is, I mean, we were talking about roasted green chile. And
Yes.
so growing up in El Paso, it's very close to Hatch, New Mexico. So we grew up with Hatch chile. And And so just anything with roasted green chile. My mom made green enchiladas with roasted green chile. So I remember leaving El Paso and ordering green enchiladas at a restaurant. They're completely different, a
Is it
lot of,
the same?
yeah, I was like a lot of restaurants or anywhere, anybody who makes green enchiladas, usually tomatillo based. So more of a tangy sauce, and ours is like more spicy and creamy. So our green enchiladas are so yummy. And then I would say like a dessert,
Okay, which is your
my
favorite?
grandma,
Which
I
dessert
mean,
drink? Which drink are you having them make too?
drink. Okay, so dessert, I would say sopapillas.
Oh,
So I mean, that's my grandma would make them a lot, and so I remember just sitting down with her, and she would fry. I mean, it's very similar to the same dough as a flour tortilla, but you just fry it, and then it just puffs up and makes this cute little pillowy dough. And so in New Mexico, they do it a lot of savory. They do stuffed sopapillas, so you can stuff it with refried beans or ground beef or green chili or whatever you want. But my grandma did them sweet. So we would, it was miel virgen, so like honey, like a really good honey, and then just drizzle it with honey, and then just be sticky fingers and eating a little papillas together.
again, invoking those memories of the sticky fingers, the warm dough that you can smell being fried with the honey. There's so much going on. I love but so much, but so little, meaning like emotionally, but ingredient wise, nice and simple.
Yeah, and as far as a drink, I'd probably pick my grandma, she lived to be 98 years old.
Mhm.
And so now, like, I was just thinking about how cute she was. We owned a grocery store, and our grocery store was next door. So sometimes at the end of the day, she's like, "Tráeme una cerveza, bring me a beer." And so,
Did you love michelada or like love a good
yeah, I was
michelada?
gonna say a chelada. So a chelada is without like the tomato juice. It's just fresh lime juice, and then you have that salted rim with ice, and it's like so
No.
perfect for the summer.
I love it. Oh, so cute. I just love the storytelling and I feel like we've gotten to know her a little bit more. And it really does. It's like, I don't know. Do you ever remember the movie Coco? We love Coco.
Yes, yeah,
It's like we have to keep telling those stories so that
yeah,
they live on and that our children have heritage and that it's important.
yeah.
So I love that you shared that. Now I have two questions I want you to debunk or say yes or no if this is okay. Can we ever use jarred garlic or never? Always fresh.
It's in a pinch. I mean, I don't mind it. I mean, I always go for fresh, but I mean, it's fine.
Okay. And number two, carne asada, always over charcoal or it's okay not to?
You can do that even in a skillet in a kitchen, carne asada, asada literally means like grilled.
Mhm.
So I don't own a charcoal grill. I have a propane, and I do it on the propane gas grill.
Perfect.
I
Which
do it on
just
our,
is delicious, right?
yeah.
Okay. Those are my two that I had to know. We have this place in town that makes the best carne asada. And one time I went to go grab my lunch. My husband and I work from home. We
Mhm.
usually just do our own thing. I went to go get lunch from there. Of course, the carne asada. I know I'm saying it probably not as well, but I walk in and I see our neighbors and they're like, "Oh, that's so nice. Are you picking you and your husband up lunch?" I'm like, probably should have asked him if he wanted something.
It's
I
all for me.
didn't even think. I just knew I wanted this dish that I love, and I love supporting our local restaurants, and I've never ventured to make it at home because I love theirs. It's so good. But I love hearing that. Well, before we close, I wanted to ask just a couple of things. So your upcoming cookbook, The Best of Muy Bueno, will be published in the fall of 2027 and celebrates the 15-year anniversary of your very first cookbook, a true quinceañera moment for Muy Bueno. What does this milestone mean to you? And, business advantages aside, what does this mean to you?
Wow, like I haven't even really shared much about I mean, my followers don't even know, so I'm excited to tell you
So
more about
exciting.
it.
Well,
So,
it was in the notes, so you approved that we could talk about
yes, yes,
it.
I'm
Okay.
only sharing it with you. Oprah.
Okay. You're hearing it here first. Yay.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, this is a huge milestone, and it's really about legacy. And 15 years ago, by the time this one will publish, it was my mom and my sister and I who published the first cookbook, and it was just to preserve our family's recipes and stories. And I never imagined that those traditions and would still be resonating with my readers. So I mean, it's literally feels like a quinceañera. I never had a quinceañera growing up because we didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah,
So
this is the time. This is you better celebrate, have
I
the party, do
know.
all the things.
Yeah, yeah. And so, I mean, it's just exciting to just know that I have a community who still supports my recipes and the generations who inspired this work. And yeah, I'm just excited to continue to share my grandma's stories. I mean, knowing that, I loved hearing my grandma's migration story from Chihuahua, Mexico, and how we got to Texas, how I was born and raised in El Paso, and, keeping up with the traditions and the history. And, it's just meaningful. And for anybody who doesn't know what a quinceañera is, it's when a 15-year-old young woman, it's her birthday and she's stepping into her next chapter. And so that's exactly how this milestone feels for Muy Bueno. I mean, I'm
That's so
honoring where
exciting.
while embracing what's still ahead. So yeah, it's basically the best of Muy Bueno. So it's going to be a few recipes from the first cookbook that are classics and traditional and northern Mexican recipes, that were three generations of Mexican recipes. And then there's also some unpublished recipes that have, on the blog that are super, super popular that I know I wanted to publish in a cookbook. And then what also makes this special, there's also going to be a Remedios chapter. So Remedios is like home Mexican remedies. So, so with a lot of the stories that I grew up with, my mom never took me to the doctor. She'd take me to grandma's house, and so
And she lived till after her
yeah,
90s.
exactly. So yeah, all the specialties she would make for me. And, she was a curandera, like a healer. And so she would do a lot of, old healing techniques. And so it's just the stories that a lot of people who grew up, with the grandma, with the Mexican grandma, especially, even, Latin countries, they all had different healing methods and different teas and herbs. And so, I'm excited to share that side of that as well.
How fun. It sets your cookbook apart and makes it even more unique and incredible. That is so fun. I love that. I'm so excited for you. I think this is going to be a massive success. You have such great recipes on your website and you're doing so many great things. I know everyone's going to love the cookbook. I'm going to have to get a copy for my friend because she moved to El Paso and she's having a bit of a time adjusting because she's a California girl.
Wow. Well, tell her to follow me. I have a lot of fun, like favorite restaurants in El Paso on my Instagram,
Okay.
that she's gonna have to check out.
Yeah, I'm gonna teach her to love it, and find the things that are wonderful about it. So that'll be great.
That's a big change.
Well, one rapid fire question we want to ask before we head off for today is if you could host your dream dinner party with any three people, who would they be? Who would be at your table and what would you serve?
It would be my grandma Jesusita, Frida Kahlo,
Okay,
and
that is.
you don't know who that is?
No.
So she was like Frida is a very popular artist, and she did a lot of self portraits, and I would have Salma Hayek also.
Okay. Wait, actually, I think I do know Frida now. Okay, it's coming to
Yes.
my mind.
So Salma Hayek actually played Frida. So there's like a
Yes.
movie about Frida. She was married to Diego Rivera, who was another Mexican famous artist. But being that my grandma was born in Chihuahua in 1906, and then Frida was born in Mexico City in 1907.
We have so much to chat about.
Yeah, so I just think, it'd be fun to hear their stories, like, regarding the Mexican Revolution, but from different perspectives.
Yes.
And I just love to hear their stories. And then, as a former graphic designer artist, I was just always obsessed with Frida Kahlo because she's just so ahead of her time. Back in that time, I mean, she was just so amazing, all the things that she did for women. And she's still just a huge icon for a lot of Latinas. And being that Selma played her, I think it would just be fun to have that talk. And then Selma Hayek, she's actually a producer now. I'm obsessed of this one series that she just produced called Like Water for Chocolate. And so it's all about storytelling around food. And so I'd probably be pitching Selma Hayek my story about my grandma. Like I've always dreamed to have a series based on my grandma's like incredible life story. So, and then being that my grandma passed away before I started my blog and food journey, I'd be honored to cook for her with love, like she always cooked for me. So I'd serve red enchiladas because she would always make red enchiladas every Friday. So I
Amazing.
make her red enchiladas or maybe chicken mole because that's like reserved for special occasions. And then sopapillas. We talked about sopapillas.
Yes. Yes.
And then maybe like a prickly pear margaritas because my grandma always had like nopales in the back, in the backyard with prickly pears. So yeah,
Oh my goodness. The menu sounds amazing. The company sounds fantastic. You should definitely write a blog post about that
that would be fun.
to show, because then you can link to the recipes and stuff too. I just think that would be such a great story to tell, but I love it. And that was so fun to get to know you and your grandma and your story better. So, Yvette, thank you so much for joining us. And we encourage everyone to go follow you on social and visit your website. You will be drooling like I was. Where can everyone get in touch with and find you?
Yeah, so my blog is muybuenoblog.com. And on socials, on Instagram and TikTok, it's Muy Bueno Cooking. You can find me, and on YouTube. You can also find me on Facebook, where my community is so sweet. They've been following me from the beginning before there was Instagram and all of those. So that one's Muy
Yes,
Bueno Cookbook.
they're the originals. I love
Yeah,
it.
they're my OG fans.
I love it. Well, we are so grateful that you came on today. Thank you so much. I do want to encourage everyone to, if they enjoyed visiting with you or listening to you today and love hearing from other creators, we have a community full of 500 plus of the biggest food content creators in the world that come to Tastemaker Conference. We do still have some tickets available for our January conference. We'd love for you to join us. So be sure to check out the link for that. And we hope to see you in San Antonio in January as well.
Either I got my ticket already, so I'm excited.
Yay! Amazing. Well, thank you again so much for joining us, and we will see you all on the next episode of Tastemaker Talk. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Tastemaker Talk. If you enjoyed this episode, let us know by leaving a review, giving us a rating, or sharing it with your creator friends.
And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode.
You can find more from us on our website, tastemakerconference.com, or even join us for an event where we learn and grow as a community of creatives.
The conversation doesn't stop here. Talk soon.